You guys, what's up? So, right now, it's about 10 something, 10:30, almost 11, I'm sure. So, pretty much, I was up on my funded account like 900, almost 1,000. And today I woke up, I took a trade, and I accidentally over risked on the trade because I thought I was on M&Q, and I usually only put one, what is it, micro lot on M&Q for my trades, and so I didn't realize that when I took the trade, I was on NQ, the big boy contracts. I was on NQ, and I guess I didn't realize it until it was too late, and I ended up blowing my funded account. Literally, I needed like not much. I had 4 out of 5 winning days of the minimum, and I needed to make a little bit extra, like another 1,000 or two, because I was up 900. I think you can take a payout once you get to 2,000. If not, I don't know what the buffer is because they don't really make their rules clear, so I'm gonna have to go back and look into the rules a little bit more deeply to kind of understand if I could have even taken a payout once I got the account to 2 grand. I'm sure I could have taken something, but the max you can take out with a 25K Lucid Flex funded account is 1,000. So I was thinking like maybe I make another 1,000 over time, not in one trade one day, of course, but slowly over time. And because I don't really have much money to keep buying accounts. I haven't really been working, and people may say like look at that as like I'm being lazy or I don't want to work, but that's not the case. Okay, I'm having back pain after every shift, which started about 6 months ago. I worked at FedEx for over a year and a half. I loved the job until I've worked 2 peak seasons now. This most recent this most recent peak season, I started getting back pain really bad, lower back, mid back after every single shift. So it basically inhibits, if that's the right word, from me working. The back pain is so bad that even on days that I don't work, when I just simply walk around and do things, just normal things, my back tends to hurt, my lower and my mid back. It tends to hurt, so it kind of stops me from wanting to work or going to work. The last day that I went to work, like a week ago, they forced me to work like 6 hours, and I tried to leave, and they told me it's job abandonment if I clock out. Right. Um. So I worked more longer than I usually do, and my back, it was the worst back pain I've ever experienced, and it lasted for like 3 days. And so I just been calling off every day or giving up my shifts. Called off on Sunday because they're always adding Sundays, and nobody picked up my shift, but usually I give up my shifts. And so, yeah, back pain. And then, like 2 or 3 days ago, I grabbed something and I kind of grabbed it fast, and it was like, it wasn't that heavy, but I'd say like something like 90 to 100 pounds. I grabbed it and went to yank it pretty fast, and I got tingling, numbness, shooting pains, I would say, straight up my left arm, right? Like all of this. After that happened, I was getting like heart palpitations, which might just be from anxiety and worry. But yeah, I was getting that, back pain, all this shit. And so it's just like recently right now, my arm wasn't really numb or anything, tingling. Like when I say this, it means, think about it like this. When your arm or your leg falls asleep, you guys know how it feels, like how it feels numb. And that's basically what happened. And right now I went to lift a 15-pound weight, which is super light to me. And instantly I had to put it down because I started getting the numbness, sleeping arm feeling in my arm again. So my brother's going through the same thing. My dad has the same thing. And what I'm thinking is it's some type of spine issue, disc issue, nerve issue. I don't know what it could be. I have an appointment Friday with my primary to get it checked out. I've had shortness of breath for at least 4 to 5 years now after having a panic attack from smoking some really strong weed because I had a lot going on at the time. And I smoked a lot of that weed in just one night, I thought I was having a heart attack, so I went to the hospital, and they never even checked my heart. They just said I wasn't having a heart attack. I'm too young, blah blah blah. Ever since then, and I know the weed wasn't laced. Okay, so for anybody thinking that, oh, maybe it was laced, the weed wasn't laced because my girl smoked the weed. Her sister smoked the weed. It was like an ounce that I bought. There was maybe like a quarter or two left of the weed, and so I gave it to them and quit smoking at that time for a while. And everybody else who smoked the weed was fine. So I know I wasn't laced. Yeah, ever since then, though, I have chest pain. Although I've kind of gotten used to it, so it doesn't hurt as much as it did at the time. But ever since then, I've also had shortness of breath, and ever since then, I've also had anxiety. When I never had anxiety before then. Ever since then, I've had anxiety. With that being said, I'm starting to think that there's some type of genetic or something issue or something that runs in our family that we just haven't figured out yet. I don't like putting myself out there like this. I don't really care. You know, judgment is none of my business. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks about me. And so later today, because I don't have my own car, I know how to drive. I just haven't drove since I was about 14 or 15 because I used to steal cars, gangbang, all that stuff. Every man has been through this stuff. So I'm not bragging about it. Please don't think I'm bragging about it because this shit is not cool. And I low-key wouldn't change anything about my past. It's just, we've all done dumb shit growing up, especially us men. So it's not cool. Anybody who's a younger and you're doing this or you're thinking about this or you're in the game banging lifestyle, stealing cars, it's not worth it. Just know that now. It's not worth it. You will get locked up. You will possibly die. If you die in your sin, you're going to hell. But let's not get on that topic right now. Just one thing before I get off of that topic: put your trust and faith in God and the Lord, and put your full heart and full trust in Him. And it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. People think that God and Jesus are all sunshine and rainbows, and if you just stop sinning, He's gonna give you everything. I'm here as a testimony to tell you that's not true. It's just not true. Think about the book of Job. This is what I'm thinking about. This is what I keep coming back to. I'm actually reading it right now while I'm listening to Tackroom Bible Talk. One of his videos on it, but I am gonna read it myself as well. I'm just watching his video right now to kind of get a deeper understanding because there's a lot of things in the Bible that I don't understand or I need help understanding, and he's one of the people that actually kind of helped me understand. I have a few people: Billy Graham, More Purpose Podcast, Philip Anthony Mitchell. Those four people right there, they're my absolute favorite people to watch to help me understand and learn more about the Bible. But knowledge, I'm not doing all this and learning all this so I can be a better servant. My main reason for trying to learn all this is so I can get to know God and Jesus and His character and the way He is and how He acts, not so I can follow some rules, because acts don't save you. You know, your faith in Jesus Christ is what ultimately saves you, and your trust in the Lord. And you don't want to fear. God doesn't give you a spirit of fear, worry, anxiety, none of that. All of those negative emotions aren't from God, and I'm not going to say they're from the devil either, because I'm sure there's conditions that we just have as humans. But, because, let's put it this way, you have thoughts of your own, and then you have thoughts that come from both sides. There's good and evil in this world. So, yeah. But you have your own thoughts, you have your own soul, you have your own spirit, so you are able to formulate your own thoughts. And if any of y'all want a deeper understanding of this, go read or listen to Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. It talks about a lot of this. But back off that topic, I do hope to see y'all turn to Jesus. And I'm not going to force you. I'm just here to tell you about Jesus and help plant that seed into your life. And like the Bible says, ultimately God is the one who makes that seed grow. You just have to have the faith of a mustard seed. And I've been going through a lot of shit recently that none of you guys know about, and I'm probably not going to tell any of y'all, like, any of this shit. Family issues, personal issues, all type of shit. None of y'all's business, but basically it seems like everything's going against me and nothing's working out, and it feels like I keep wanting to turn back to sinful ways and turn away from God. And maybe it's just a test, like the same as the book of Job, how he was tested and they kept saying that he was a sinner and this and that, and he wasn't. It was just the devil testing him, and God allowed it to test his faith when everything was taken away from him and nothing worked and nothing went his way. And it seemed like God was punishing him, and that's kind of what it feels like is happening to me right now. Because every time that I go through this, I always end up going back to smoking weed and going back to my sinful ways. But this time, today, I accidentally blew my funded account, and I was actually reading some. Well, I was not reading the Bible, but I was reading this thing that I post on Instagram every day. It's called 40 Days with Jesus by Sarah Young. And I was reading the day 7, right? Day 7. I was reading day 7 as I blew the funded account. I looked up, noticed, I'm like, oh shit, did I just blow the account? So I checked, and it turns out it was breached, and I blew the account. And I haven't been working, so I don't have money to buy an account. I mean, I could, but that's neglecting my bills and stuff, so I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna just wait until I can make some more money. And yeah, it is what it is. And you know, it's like, fuck, I want to go do something, get drunk, get high, turn back to my old ways because it just feels like God's punishing me. But then I sat here and thought about it in silence. I'm like, but I don't want to go to hell. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just have to put my full trust and faith in God. Put my full trust and full faith in my entire heart posture into Jesus Christ, trusting Him and not being afraid of anything because He is with me. And no matter what happens to me, even if I die for the Lord. If I live for the Lord. And y'all know the saying. So whatever we do, we belong to the Lord. So I was angry. Yeah, I fucking slammed my right hand against my desk because I was mad. And it's the only arm that's not hurting. So fuck it, why not, right? But it's okay to be angry. Even Jesus was angry sometimes. But ultimately, you have to control that shit. And so I'm like, I know God's real. I know the devil's real. I know it's all a test. And I won't fail this time. I'm going to do my absolute best to not fail this time. So, got up, distracted myself, walked around, read some stuff. And pretty much, yeah, like fuck. I want to do my old ways, but I'm just simply not going to do it because that's exactly what he wants. That's exactly what the devil wants. And I don't care what y'all think of me. Think I'm crazy. You can think God's fake and the devil's fake, but I can assure you he's fucking not. I can assure you he's not. Now, if you don't want to believe me, that's on you. Because I have told you, it is like the Watchmen story. I've sounded the trumpet. So, if you're watching this and you heard it, the blood is no longer on my hands if you don't change from your own ways. And pretty much, yeah. So back to what I was saying a minute ago. Might have some type of spine issues, disc issues, nerve issues, whatever. So I'm gonna see if I can go get that shit checked out tonight when my girl gets home from work and I'm able to get a ride. And yeah. And I do have an appointment on Friday for my back as well. It's just like she works, I don't have a car. So I'm gonna have to figure out something or some way to get there. Whether I have to take the bus or order an Uber, which I really don't want to take an Uber because I don't really have money for Ubers and shit right now. And it's like, fuck, man. I'm just so overwhelmed by everything. And it's like, I sit here and pray, but it's like I'm being ignored or I'm just being tested. And I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna just keep going. Put my trust and faith in the Lord and keep going. And I have no reason to because it seems like I'm being punished and everything's going against me, but maybe it's all a test in the end. And even if it is not a test, I will keep going and people will look at me like How do you keep doing this? Nothing's going right for you. Everything's going wrong for you. But you keep that smile on your face and you keep going. You don't let it affect you. And that's ultimately what I want to be an example of. No matter how hard things get or no matter how hard life gets, I want to be the one that people look up to, like, well, he's been through some crazy shit, but he keeps going. No matter what happens to him, he keeps that smile on his face. You know, it's what men, it's what they kind of teach us men. Society, you're not supposed to cry, you're supposed to be strong. You gotta be a man, you gotta be strong, stand up and act like one. And, you know, that's why I'm telling myself, it's like sometimes I judge myself harshly and I put myself down. It's like, you're a bitch, you need to go to work. But it's like, fuck, nigga, my back hurts and I might have nerve issues and I literally am physically kind of incapable of going to work. It's not that I'm lazy. I'm not fucking lazy. It's just that I'm like kind of physically incapable. And at this point, it seems like I've worked the job for over a year and loved it. Every single day I would go. But back issues, I can't do it anymore. My dad and my brother both have the same issues from hard labor jobs. And some days it's like you literally can't fucking walk. You think I'm gonna go sit there and lift 30,000 pounds in boxes a night? No. No. I need something easier. I need something less taxing on the back. Sometimes my back hurts just from fucking sitting. So I can't do it. I need something else. And this is the authentic me. You guys are gonna get to know me. Whether you want to stay here for the ride, I'd appreciate it. And if you don't, that's not on me. I can't control it. But I'm gonna just keep making videos every day from this point forward. Every other day, at least 2 or 3 videos a week minimum. I'm gonna try my best. So guys, pray for me to keep going, and I'm gonna pray for myself to keep going. Yeah, I know y'all can see when I tape the windows up and shit, so I can keep the light out when I'm trying to sleep in the daytime, like many times from, because I work night shift, so I usually have to sleep in the daytime. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for staying this long, if you made it this far. And I'll talk to y'all on the next one. Yo guys, what's up? I'm back. So, I didn't really plan on adding any extra to this video, but like I was saying, I watched the Book of Job on Tack Room Bible Talk. That's the channel if y'all want to go look it up. I think his name is Dwayne, something like that. He also has another channel called Dry Creek Wrangler School. I like watching him sometimes because he keeps shit real, but I'm going to go over some of my notes with y'all. So, I think there's, I'm not sure, 30 or 40, I might be wrong. There might be 30 or 40 chapters in the Book of Job. Hold up, I got a physical copy of the Bible right here. I don't want to look dumb, so I'm going to get the exact, but there is 42 chapters. Yeah, 42 chapters in the Book of Job. And today I read Job 1, 2, 3, like chapters 1 through 3, and I have like, I would say about a page of notes, maybe 2 pages, depending on how big you put your text. But I'm taking notes on Google Docs because I don't really feel like writing, and that should be hurting my wrist and stuff. So I just typed it into Google Docs as my notes, Bible notes, instead of like pen and paper like I usually do. And so I'm gonna go over with y'all Job 1 through 3. Alright. So, Job 1 through 3, the notes, and it's not a lot of notes, but it is a lot of notes at the same time for just the first 3 chapters. So basically, what's happening in the book of Job is it talks about how Satan came to God one day, and he was telling him that God asked him where he came from, and he told God that I've been patrolling the earth and watching everything going on. So God asked him, have you seen my servant Job? He's the most finest man in all the earth. And Basically, it says Job was blameless. He hated sin, and these are my notes that I'm writing down. Okay, I'm reading them to y'all now. Job was blameless. He hated sin, and he stayed away from evil. Job was the richest and most powerful man in his time. Job would make sacrifices to God just in case his kids or anyone of his family had harbored hate or curses in their heart against God. And so Satan told God that Job only feared him and he was only righteous and blameless because he was protected and blessed by God. So Satan believed that if all of his blessings were stripped away from him, he would surely turn away from God and curse him. So, what did God do? God allowed Satan to test his faith, and he told him that he could do what he wanted to him as long as he didn't kill him. So then, all of his servants, all of his animals, everything that he had, it was stolen, and all of his animals, they were killed, all of his possessions, they were raided. All of his stuff was raided, taken, killed by enemies. And then, he had 7 kids, I believe, at the time. They were all feasting in the eldest brother's home, and there was a strong wind that came about, and then it collapsed the home and killed all of his kids who were in the home eating at the time. And so, like, there was a couple survivors from each of these scenarios that had happened, and they all came to Job all at the same time, and they told him, and he ripped off his robe, he shaved his head, and he cried out in grief. I mean, obviously, how can you not cry out in grief and wail if these things are happening to you? Think about it, right? So he cried out in grief. He ripped off his robe. He wailed, probably dropped to his knees and just started bawling his eyes out. And so he shaved his head off. He shaved all his hair off his head and said, "Well, I was born naked, so I would die naked because I came out of my mother's womb naked. And God has given me all of these things, so it is ultimately his decision to take all of these things away." But Job did not blame nor curse God, and instead he said, "Praise God." He praised his name. And then, chapter 2 of Job, the book of Job, we're on to chapter 2 now. So, God told Satan, Job maintained his integrity even though he was harmed without cause. And so what did Satan do? He told God that, well, surely he will curse you to your face if he loses his health and has ill health, right? So then God allowed it as long as he didn't kill him. He allowed him to get him extremely sick and take away his good health as long as he didn't kill him. So then Job was stricken with boils all over his body from head to toe. And if y'all don't know what boils are, go look it up. They're basically big, I would compare them to blisters. They're big pus-filled blisters, and he got it from his head to his toes, his entire body. It's disgusting. So then, after he was stricken with boils, he maintained his integrity still, right? And his wife told him, "Why are you trying to maintain your integrity? Just curse God and die already. Get it over with." Job told her, "You talk like a foolish woman. Why do you only accept the good things that come from God and don't accept the bad things that come from him as well? Do you think only good things come from God and not the bad?" So then, that's basically what he told her. "You're a foolish woman." Then 3 of Job's friends came, and after they heard about what happened, and as they came, they ripped off their robes and cried out in grief and shared his grief with him. And they stayed with him for 7 days and 7 nights, and they didn't say a word because they realized that no words would help him. And, well, I wrote down their names as well. Their names were Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. And that's the chapter 2. That's the end of chapter 2. Now we're moving on to chapter 3. So Job spoke. He was the first one to speak up after they didn't speak for 7 days and 7 nights. So Job finally opened his mouth and spoke first, and he basically cursed the day of his birth and said, let the day that he was born, let it be erased, let it be forgotten by God. He wished for it to be turned to darkness, and that the light, and that day may be childless with no joy. And let the experts of cursing curse that day so it will never see the light of day. He asks himself, why didn't I just die on that day? Why must I see all this suffering? And sorry guys, my storage ran out and the video cut off. But we were at the part where he basically asked, why didn't he just die on that day, after saying, let the experts of cursing curse the day so it will never see the light of day. And then he says, why must I see all this suffering in this world? If I had just only died, I would be asleep and I would be at peace. I would have been at rest with all the kings whose empires rose and fell, where they're basically sleeping with all their silver, gold, and treasures. And he says, in death the wicked cause no trouble, and the weary are at rest. Even prisoners, captives, and slaves are free from their guards and masters. He asks, why give life to the bitter who long for death that doesn't seem to come? He says, they rather die than to get rich, and they search for death more eagerly than hidden treasures. And when they finally die, they rejoice. He then goes on to ask, why give life to people without a future, the ones who God seems to surround with difficulties? And then, after that, he then states how he can't eat or drink anything due to his sighing. If any of y'all have ever been in stress, worried, anxiety, you know what he means by this. You're sighing, like you keep doing that because you're stressed, and he can't eat or drink to his sighing and the sorrow that he feels inside of himself. He also states that the thing he has always feared that would happen has come and happened to him, and now he has no peace nor rest, but only troubles. And that's Job 1 through 3. That's where I'm going to end off today. That's as much as I'm going to get through today. Because I do want to sit here and read some other stuff. I want to read a little bit of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I got a couple of other books that I might read. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And also, I'm either going to start reading Atomic Habits or Think and Grow Rich again. So, one of those two, I'm going to be reading with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, as well as the Bible. If y'all want me to throw in some stuff from those books as well, I will gladly do that. If y'all want me to read the books, like, with y'all, and try and put it on the screen somehow, I'm not exactly how I can do that. Not exactly sure how I can do that, but I can figure it out if you guys want that. If any of y'all, just go look up, there's a channel called The Secret Key Society, and that's kind of what the idea is when I say I can read it with y'all and put the pages on screen. I'm not exactly how I would do that. Not sure how I would do that. My bad about the stumbling of words and shit, but yeah. Just let me know, and that's probably where I'm going to end the video today. This is probably going to be the end of the video today for sure now. I got to get this edited and posted, come up with a title, come up with a thumbnail, all that good stuff. So, once again, as I stated previously, if you made it this far and made it to the end of the video, just type amen in the comments below. Drop a like. If you're not subscribed already, drop a subscription. It would be greatly appreciated. If you feel like you want to give me something of your own will, of course, I don't need anything, although it would help, like donations and such. I will probably drop my Cash App in the description below as well. If y'all want to get to know me, get to talk to me on a more personal level, personal basis, then I'm going to drop either my Telegram or my Discord, or both in the comments. Not the comments, my bad. In the description below, as well as my Instagram and all of that good stuff. So, yeah. If you made it this far, type amen. And I'll see y'all on the next video, which will be tomorrow. We're going to be going over more of Job, probably 2 or 3 more chapters until we get through the story of Job. It's going to become a daily thing, and then we're going to move on to other books in the Bible. But I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.